All right, folks, first off, I noticed that our MLA formatting is incorrect, so we need to make sure that the first line has all of your names, including your last names, and list yourselves in alphabetical order by last name. Then my name, Mrs. Crane, and then you need to have our class and the date. And then you need to also insert a page number in the top right corner, which you can do on your document, and make sure your last names are listed next to that page number. Also, I noticed that your hook is a question, which is fine, but it's kind of a weak question, and notice you don't even use correct punctuation, so make sure that you're adding a question mark at the end. But also, I just think that the question itself could be eliminated, and maybe you could start with this first sentence. Teens and children are expected to match, but instead of saying these views, say the expectations of our gender, or something like that. With the next sentence, gender roles can and do start violence. I would after can do a dash, and after do another dash, so it creates that pause. Gender roles can and do. It's really emphasizing that do part. Start violence. I would also combine, I don't really like starting sentences with so, I think it sounds kind of weak. So I want to keep that formal academic tone. Let's combine these two sentences. Whenever you have the play title, make sure you're italicizing it every time. Good. Notice that our first concrete detail is not embedded. We need to embed it either using attribution, integration, or full sentence introduction. Make sure it's not a sentence by itself. Also notice that we put the period in the quotation. That needs to be moved to after the parentheses. In your commentary, connect to your literary device here. We see a pun, so make sure that's mentioned at some point and connected to the meaning of the concrete detail. Between concrete details, add a transitional phrase and embed. And I think C in cats in the text is capitalized, so double check that. In your concluding sentence, connect all this back to your theme statement or your thesis. So add a sentence here connecting it all. Add a period here, but also looks like we need to embed our evidence, and we've got something going on with the semicolon. If that's part of the text, that's fine, but make sure there's a space between it. And also we need to add a transition between paragraphs. So remind the reader we just talked about this, now we're talking about this. But of course make sure your phrasing is not obvious or addressing the reader directly. Also notice our citations are starting to be incorrect in this paragraph. Looking back up here, this is correct. So it should look like this with the play title abbreviated and italicized, with the act number, scene number, and line number. Your commentary here is weak. It is not connecting to the literary device, nor is it connecting to your thesis, so that needs to be redone. We also need a transition here between concrete details, and we need to embed, and we don't want any punctuation within the citation, only after. We always want spaces between our sentences too. I don't like this diction here, bad things. Let's make sure we're enhancing our diction to be a little bit more elevated, and again, we have to connect to the literary device and to the theme statement. We need to make sure we're transitioning here again between paragraphs. Italicize the title of the play. Let's work on our diction with a lot. Let's embed our evidence here as well. Eliminate the punctuation within the citation. Add a space here. And you don't need a period after the line number. I think we may have done that somewhere else too. Nope, just there. Oh, here we did, right there. So make sure we're not including periods within the citation, only after. Apostrophe to show position here, so make sure we add that. I want you to end your conclusion with a claim. Maybe start with the phrase "we must" and then kind of connect it to your theme and idea of gender identity in the play, but end with a mic drop moment. Do something a little bit more impactful and powerful to leave your readers satisfied with the evidence that you've portrayed. Looking back here, make sure we're always embedding our evidence. Here we're connecting to the literary device. When we say this is an example of soliloquy, we need to make sure that there's a space between the citation and the first word in the sentence. Add a concluding sentence at the end of this paragraph to connect it back to your thesis. Okay? Solid start, but lots of room for improvement.